Welcome to Dirt Road Discussions, the podcast where we're all about agriculture all the time, broadcasting from the Idaho Farm Bureau Federation headquarters. We introduce you to people from all over the country who are keeping agriculture growing strong. Whether you're a seasoned farmer or just someone curious about where your food comes from, you're in the right place. So let's take a journey down the dirt road.
Hey friends, welcome to the podcast that's sweeter than corn on the cob at a summer barbecue, Dirt Road Discussions. I am your host, Cam Hammond. As always, I am pleased to be joined by my co-host, Ott Clark. Ott, how are you?
I'm pleased as punch, Cameron.
Pleased as punch?
Yeah.
I have not heard that expression.
You went with the sweet corn.
Before.
I'm going to go with pleased as punch.
Both are great at a barbecue on a summer afternoon. So, okay, Ott, I don't know about you, but I think we're in for lots of kernels of truth today.
Ooh.
Good?
I'm all ears.
Good?
Hey-o.
Hey, there we go.
Jeez.
I love it. So to you, the listener out there, thanks for tuning into the DRD podcast. We hope you enjoy the conversation, the stories, and maybe even a few dad jokes along the way. So be sure to check out our past episodes and subscribe so you don't miss a new episode which drops every other Tuesday. All right, Ott, corn on the cob. Nothing quite like it, right?
I agree.
One of your favorite foods?
One of my favorites.
All right, so how do you eat it? Just good old butter, salt, and pepper?
That is exactly.
Just shuck it and eat it raw?
No, boiled. Boiled is how I would always prepare my corn on the cob.
Do you...
and then heavily buttered, heavily salted, heavily peppered.
Okay, good. Do you just bite it right off the cob, or do you have to sear it off?
Oh,
first?
yeah, you got to get a little cob in your mouth, too.
Did you ever have braces when you were a kid?
No.
Okay.
Perfect pearly whites over here.
Oh, man, you were lucky because that was always my issue growing up is I would want to eat the corn on the cob, but I had braces, and it just didn't work out.
Yeah.
So.
Are there any photos of you with that big headset on?
No. There was a fire. We lost everything.
Okay.
So
I'll ask you.
Sorry about that. Anyway, so corn on the cob, whether you're buying it at a roadside stand, a farmer's market, or straight out of the back of a pickup, sweet corn is a way of bringing people straight back to agriculture. But the thing is, not all sweet corn operations are the same. Some folks are just growing corn. They are building something entirely unique and different around it. So that's what our episode is going to focus on today. But before we get into that, Ott, we've got to put you to the test.
Okay. Odd shots, I'm assuming.
Ott's Cobs.
Ooh.
Even better. We're going to play some Ott's Cobs here. That's right. Ott's Cobs. So, Ott, I'm going to test your knowledge of sweet corn. So I'm going to ask you some questions, and you're going to give me your best cob answer.
Okay.
All right? Okay, let's go. Question 1. How long does it typically take sweet corn to grow from planting to harvest?
Oh, man. I'm going to say we are eating it in that July, August. So planting happens in April. What's the math on that? 3 months, 3.5 months.
How many days?
That would be 100 days.
Ooh, you're pretty close.
110.
So our guests may say something different, but I have 60 to 90 days.
Oh, man, I'm within 40 days isn't very good.
You know what? When you were 100 around there, that was pretty close,
Yeah.
I thought. So, all right, that's okay. Off to an okay start, but it's going to get even more challenging here. All right, is corn a fruit, a vegetable, or a grain?
Ooh. I feel like it's a vegetable, but I also think it's kind of the reproductive system of the corn plant. So I'm gonna throw it in as a fruit.
Okay, good guess. And this is where it gets fun because according to the internet, technically it's all three.
Oh man, I couldn't get it wrong.
So this says botanically it's a fruit because it comes from a seed-bearing structure of a flowering plant, kind of like you talked about. In culinary terms, it's a vegetable, and then in ag nutritional terms, it's classified as a cereal grain.
There you go.
Yeah, okay. All right, next question. Why do many farmers sell sweet corn locally instead of shipping it long distances?
Is it sweeter, like the closer you get it to your household?
Correct. Yeah, so the sugar begins converting to starch after you pick it.
There you go.
So, good job.
Man, I feel like I'm doing okay.
You're doing great compared to where we've been previously.
Yeah,
So,
I've had a rough couple weeks.
all right, the next one. So this one's about pollination. So sweet corn is primarily pollinated by which method?
Ooh, the wind.
Wow. Good job.
Yeah?
Wind pollinated.
That's right.
Yeah, the pollen sheds from the tassels and it lands on the silks of the ear.
That's
So,
true.
Nice job. Okay. Last one. No, wait. No, we'll go with this one, the last one here. So what is corn silk?
Corn silk. It's the stuff in your teeth post eating. The silk is the female portion of the corn flower. It takes the pollen and pulls it into the to the corn ear, which then becomes a kernel.
Man. All right, everyone. Let's give Otto a round of applause.
Oh my goodness! Thank you, thank you. I'd like to thank my mom
today.
and dad.
You know, you should think about a career in the corn world.
Oh man, maybe.
So yeah, if you see 500 strands of silk, that ear has the potential for 500 kernels. So
I knew that.
Yeah, interesting.
That's cool though.
Well, shucks, Ott. Great job. You really earned that performance.
You're getting worse at the puns,
Yeah,
but
we
I still like your enthusiasm.
Awesome. Great job. So in all serious, sweet corn might seem simple, but behind it there's a lot of strategy with timing, with marketing, with labor and equipment. And so today we're visiting with a couple of farmers who have done exactly that, building a unique sweet corn operation, connecting directly with their community, and even designing equipment to support their visions. Because sometimes the best stories in agriculture don't come from doing more, they come from doing it differently, right here on Dirt Road Discussions, where every bump tells a story. All right. We've had our guests waiting long enough, so we are thrilled to be joined today by a father-daughter team who can share with us some more kernels of truth about corn, and that is Nate and Zoe Pancheri. So Nate and Zoe are farmers and ranchers from Nampa, Idaho, and we appreciate them being here with us today. So Nate, Zoe, how are you?
Good.
Doing great. Thanks for having us.
We, like I said, we're excited to visit with you. How did you guys do on Ott's Cobs? Did you know most of those? I'm sure you did.
We were pulling for him, hoping he could get them right.
We all pull for Ott, but he does a good job. So, but again, we're excited to visit with you about corn today. So would you mind just starting off the podcast by telling us a little bit more about yourselves and your background? So,
Yeah, so I'm Zoe Pancheri. He's my dad. And we're from Nampa, Idaho. I'm a 5th generation farmer. I'm about a year away from getting my degree in ag business. I've been involved in the family farm since I was little.
Yeah.
I don't know how many years that is, but yeah.
She's not wrong. She has been involved against her will from the very beginning. She's adapted to where she enjoys it now. But all of our kids, they've grown up working on the farm. She is the second of 5 kids that we have. I grew up in the Dry Lake area. My dad was partners with Alan Noble, and so that's where I was born and raised. Attended high school in Melba, and so ag was always what we did. I decided I didn't like farming out of high school, so I went and worked in a gold mine in a couple years and realized that I liked farming better than working in a gold mine. So I came back to my parents, their corporate farm in Dry Lake, and started farming then, and that's where I kind of actually fell in love with it. I think when you're forced into it, sometimes as you're growing up, it's not your first love, it's just what you have to do. And when you get away from it for a little bit, I think you realize that it's kind of ingrained into you at a certain point. So that's why I came back and then kind of went out and ventured on my own and started farming and really on my own in about 1998 and grew to several acres, and then we've kind of downsized a little bit with growth, and that's affected us south of Nampa in the Kuna area. A lot of ground that we had out there. There's probably about 2,000 acres that we've looked at over the years, over the past probably 10 or 15 years that are now subdivisions that we used to farm. And so our farming operation is continually changing all the time. We had some ground just north of the lake, of Lake Lowell, and we had a local farmer that's been in the sweet corn business forever. And he actually came to us and was wondering if we could raise a little corn for him. And so we raised it. He harvested it, moved it to Albertsons and Winco and a few other distributors that he was with. And we did that up until, I think, 2017, I guess, with him. And then we decided that we wanted to change things, how we were doing it. When we first started doing the sweet corn deal, we didn't know what we were doing really. We raised seed corn for seed, but really just planting a couple rows of sweet corn on the edge of a field corn field. And that's where our kids all got the salesman side of them. Since they were 5 and 6, they would go out and pick the 2 or 3 rows of sweet corn seed on the edge of a field, fence row, and that's where they started selling sweet corn. So as we got involved in the business with a local guy in Nampa, we wanted to kind of change the way we did it. We didn't know what we were doing when we first started, and he was like, hey, these are the chemicals you need to use for bugs and different things. And as we started researching, it's like, it's not human consumption safe. And so we wanted to kind of change what we were doing. And so we really broke off, started doing it on our own 2019. And the markets that we were moving through before didn't realize that we were the ones that were producing the corn. It took them 1 year before they all reached out. They're like, okay, we realize that you guys were the ones that were supplying the corn. We want back in. We just have really good relationships with the companies that we sell to, but we are very, very safety minded. We used to hand harvest everything in the field, and we kind of switched that up as well, because to do that, we produce 1,000 to 1,500 cases a day, some days 2,000 cases. So we're 50 to 80,000 ears of corn a day that we're harvesting. And doing that by hand, we would start in the fields at 7, 8 o'clock at night. Well, there's still heat in the corn, which is not good. It's not good to pack corn that's warm. But we would have 30 to 40 people in the field all night in the dark trying to hand harvest. And so we kind of adapted and changed that to try to be more cognizant of our employees and more safety minded as well. And so we actually brought in a machine in 2020. We had a 1-row puller that simulates hand harvest, but we can't pick enough for the production that we need.
I'm going to kick us off. There's 2 types of corn. We've got sweet corn that everybody knows and loves at every barbecue, and then feed corn. Can you guys talk about what the 2 differences are?
I'll start off with a funny story. So my mom didn't grow up in agriculture, and when she and my dad were first dating, she didn't know that there was a difference. And they were going through a field of field corn that the cows eat. And she asked my dad, those are some big ears of corn. You mind if I take some home? And he looked at her like, what the heck did I get myself into? But now she knows the difference. My dad can go into the difference.
She was definitely a city girl. Her dad owned the lumber yard in Nampa. And so when she came out, not knowing the difference, we were chopping for a dairy, and she was riding with me in the cloth choppers. We were chopping corn for a dairy, and she was like, so you haven't picked the ears yet. Shouldn't you pick the ears and then sell them to people so they can eat them and then chop the rest of the plant? And it's like, we got to back up. There's totally 2 different differences in the corn, and you can find out as soon as you bite into an ear of field corn that it is not good.
The cows like it, though.
They do, but it's for the milk production or beef production. Like, say you want that starch for the energy and that for cows. And when it comes to the sweet corn, the starch doesn't taste very good. We want the sugar content. I don't know if sweet corn's as good for us as field corn is for cows, but we consume enough of it that we enjoy it. But it's all about the sugar. It's all about having that sweet taste and the quality of the sweet corn.
Yeah, that's a good point to note, because we have a lot of listeners outside of agriculture, and they assume when they see a field of corn that they can go and eat that, but probably not a good idea for the most part, right? So we appreciate you sharing kind of the difference there, because sweet corn, delicious. Field corn, probably don't eat it. Give it to your cow, right? So it sounds like with your guys' operation, it's definitely been a family approach. I think you said you had 5 children?
Yes.
5? Have they all been involved in the farm to a degree? I guess growing up, you probably put them out there and said, hey, let's get to work.
My oldest son was running a tractor when he was, maybe we shouldn't say that, 5. But farm kids are just brought up a little bit different. They're brought up with the confidence that they can do it, and you teach them how to be safe and how to do it. But he did it for quite a few years, graduated high school, and then he kind of got burnt out, wanted to do something different. And so now he has a restoration business and does flood, fire, mold mediation. And So Zoe is the next one up that she's like, I actually want to do something with the farm. The other kids are still forced. Zoe actually is choosing to do it.
Yeah, that's true. When we were little, my mom would pick us up and take us out to the sweet corn fields, and we just started off by just picking a couple of ears to like sell to family, friends, people we went to church with. And then it's like fun when you're only picking like 20 ears at a time. But then my mom started getting a lot of people, like a lot of traction of people that wanted to buy the corn from us. So we would spend like, we'd always joke that we were stealing my dad's sweet corn, and so we'd go out there and we'd pick corn for like a couple hours, and it was not very enjoyable, but I think it was a good example of some good hard work ethic, especially for all of us, and continued down to my younger sister.
How old's your youngest child?
She's
Youngest-
12.
Well, she just turned 14. So Zoe's been
Wow.
away at
Zoe.
college for a few years, so she's kind of lost track of how old her siblings are.
Yeah.
So yeah, she just turned 14.
It's all right, Zoe. You'll catch up. So
Yeah, she is.
Yeah, well, Zoe just turned 21. She's been running our packing shed since she was 15.
oh, wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we want to jump into how the corn is picked, because you highlighted something really interesting about how you don't want to pack it when it's warm, right? And then so we'll get into that in just a minute here, but so of course sweet corn is kind of your bread and butter, I should say. What else do you guys raise?
We do alfalfa hay for horses, cows, that type of thing. And then some other row crops, so field corn, some wheat. What else do we do right now?
About it right now. We
That's
kind of
about it
backed
right
off
now.
on the mint side of things, and we don't raise sugar beets and potatoes anymore just because just pretty volatile. And so we kind of try to find our niche market with the sweet corn is kind of where we've went to and stuck with.
Yeah.
Yeah, one thing you also mentioned, seed corn. You did that in the past. Just because it's interesting, can you talk a little bit about the seed corn world and how it works?
So we really enjoyed that side of it, but it got really hard when you have to, because a lot of people they'll drive by a cornfield and they're like, something's wrong with that. Why do 4 rows don't have tassels on it? And there's one row that does have tassels, and they're wondering why. Well, with a seed corn, it's cross-pollinated with the bull row that has the tassel, and then they pull the tassels on the cow row, so that way they can cross-pollinate to get the variety of corn that people want. And it comes down to the ear quality, how tight the husk is, and the flavor and different things. And so that's how they cross-pollinate. It's called the hybrid, which a lot of people get confused and think hybrid and GMO is the same thing, but it's not. Those sweet corn seeds varieties that they're raising, it's for a reason why they're doing that, and it's on the production side of it. The people that consume it dictate what variety of sweet corn is continued to be produced.
Yeah. It's a little known fact, this Treasure Valley, Boise area is one of like the seed corn and seed capitals of the world. And so if you meet somebody that's in agriculture here in the Treasure Valley, a lot of them pulled tassels of corn growing up. I don't know, Zoe, if you ever had an opportunity to be on that side, but I know a lot of people that have miserable memories of pulling tassels in the 100-degree heat here in Treasure Valley.
I think I was lucky enough to spare that,
Okay.
but yeah, corn topping. I've heard it's not for the weak, but it's not for me either.
But you did pick your fair share of
Yes.
corn growing
Yeah.
up, right? And
Yes.
so it sounds like that you were able to sell a lot of that. Would you just throw it in the back of a pickup and go to the roadside and sell it? Is that what you guys
Yeah,
do?
we just like set our little. My dad got us made some signs that said corn. We'd set them up on the side of the road. We'd set a table up. We'd just have a trailer, a pickup full of sweet corn. Back in the day, we sold it for like $2 a dozen or something like that. And then as time has gone on, one of the banks that my parents work with let my siblings sell in the parking lot. So we have like a refrigerated truck now that we drive into town. So a little bit nicer of a setup these days.
Absolutely. Yeah, when you think of course, this area, you think of seed and it being one of the seed capitals of the world, but I guess I never really thought of this area as actually growing a whole lot of sweet corn. Could you touch more on, are there a lot of other sweet corn producers in this area, or mainly just you guys, you've carved out a unique niche?
There's a couple, but not very many. It's It's a pretty volatile crop to raise as far as there's no contracts. It's a handshake. And when you go into a bank and you start telling them, hey, we want to borrow money to farm on, they want contracts. They want to know that you know a set price, what you're getting out of it, and that you have an outlet for it. And sweet corn is a totally different deal. There's no contracts. It's on a handshake. And sometimes it's not even on a handshake. It is a phone call of, hey, yeah, you raise corn, and if the quality's right, we'll take it. There's been a lot of people that have tried it and a lot of people that have failed at it as well. It's a very unique crop to raise. A lot of people raise it in their garden and think it's not that hard, but to grow it on a scale, there's a lot that goes into it.
Very high capital, I would say, especially if you want to get the agreements that he's talking about, you need to be able to produce like quite a bit, and to be able to produce however many ears of corn, you need specialized machinery, which is a lot more expensive as well.
Yeah.
Nate, you kind of brought it up earlier, picking corn, so that you can get it to the consumer, within 24 hours. Can you talk a little bit about how you did it, in the early years of producing sweet corn, and then talk about how you guys are doing it now?
Yeah, when we first started raising it in about 2014, we actually grew the crop, and then another local guy actually had the markets, and so that he would come in with a crew, hand harvest it, and then he would deliver it. We did that for a few years. We got to the point where quality wasn't what we wanted it to be. Hey, we have to have X amount of corn, so they would show up and pick a week too early, where the corn wasn't sweet at that point. It wasn't mature, wasn't ready. And then if sales taper off, then the corn starts to get old. And the same thing, you can't pick that and deliver it to somebody, because that'll be the first thing. You get a housewife that goes and buys 2 dozen ears of corn and takes it home, and it's not what she wants it to be. She heads right back to Albertsons or Winco and says, you guys are selling me junk. We don't want the call then from the produce buyers telling us that, hey, you guys don't have a quality product. Over the years, I've raised over 100 different varieties and test plots to get the varieties dialed in that we like.
Wow.
You talk about the one-row picker?
Yeah, we started out, so when we went from hand picking, so we would have to start picking. So we'll produce cases of corn is how we sell it, and it'll be 48 ears in a case. And when we first started, we were doing about 500-600 cases a day. And our production now, we're between 1,000 and 2,000 cases a day is what we move. So we're selling between 50 and 100,000 ears a day almost. And so it got to the point to hand harvest, we would have to start at 5 o'clock in the afternoon to be able to pick 1,000 cases by 10 or 11 o'clock the next morning. When you start at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, it's still hot, and that corn's hot. Put corn in a box, it starts to sweat. Within 36, 48 hours, it starts to mold on the silks that are still on the end of the ear. And so we had to kind of revamp what we are doing for our production. The other side of it is Zoe does all the hiring now, and so she hires all high school kids to actually run the packing shed. When she switched, when we were in the field, we had all migrant crews, which they were great, but some of them kind of wanted to dictate to Zoe how she was going to do things. Like, oh, we're going to go ahead and take a 2-hour lunch break now, and yeah, we don't really feel like working that late, or we don't want to start that early. And Zoe kind of was frustrated, and so I think she was probably 17 or 18 after she'd been running the packing line for a couple of years, and she's like, I want to hire all high school kids and give them the opportunity to work and pay them a bonus and reward them for what they do. And so she's kind of changed how our packing shed completely runs, but we machine harvest so that we can start at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, so the heat's out of the corn, and it's a 4-row machine that simulates hand harvest.
We started off with a 1-row.
Yeah, we started off with a 1-row, but we can't produce enough with a 1-row machine. And so we ended up bringing in a 4-row. We have one, there's one in Washington, and I think there's only 2 of them this side of the Mississippi. They're the big pick-saw pickers, but the header is completely different on how that works. So we kind of went to that so we can actually remove everybody from the field at night. Quality control went up because you can't see in the dark very well, no matter how much light you have. Tripping out, just it wasn't a safe environment in the field hand harvesting. So that's why we machine harvest, but I'm the one that runs the machine to make sure we don't damage the corn. And we have revamped that thing to even actually work in a different way than it was actually designed to, just to try to make sure that the quality of the corn is decent.
Yeah, that's what I think is really fascinating is the ingenuity, right, to solve a problem, because hand picking takes a while, right? And you need the labor to do that, and labor is always tough to find in agriculture. But so you basically put together this corn picker to solve this problem, right? Nate, did you kind of put it together yourself? I know you started with the machine, but then you've kind of rigged it to work the way you want it to.
So we tweaked it to make sure there's no pinch points so we're not damaging any of the corn, because it was actually, the way they were designed is for fresh packed sweet corn in the Midwest to go into canneries and different things. And then they're like, well, those aren't productive enough, so they switched to a regular corn head like you see on a combine in the Midwest to do that. And so these kind of became a little less demand for them, but it doesn't make them any cheaper. But we were able to get one, and then I have revamped a bunch of the interior part of the machine and the hopper that it goes into, make sure that it's just like spuds. You don't want it to bruise, you don't want to damage it, you don't want to drop it. And sweet corn, it's the same thing. If there's damaged corn, Winco is one of our biggest buyers, and we have an amazing relationship with them because they know that our quality is second to none. If you deliver something on their dock that doesn't look good, they will reject a 1,500 case order in 2 seconds. They don't think twice about it because they know the quality that they want in their stores. And if we can't deliver that quality, they'll get somebody else. But we have really dialed in to make sure that we have that quality for them.
What's interesting about the corn header that he didn't mention is the way that corn goes through it, it simulates hand picking. So I guess you can explain it how
Yeah, so it grabs the stalk on the top, and then it has a rotary disc on the bottom. So as it cuts the stalk off and brings the whole stalk, the whole plant through the machine, it has a couple steel rolls that are hydraulic. And so we've changed angles and speeds on all that just to be super gentle, but it actually twists the ear off and drops it onto a rubber conveyor, the same as if you were to do it by hand out in the field or in your garden. So it does that exact same thing, but from there, the rest of the machine, we've really worked over to make sure that we don't damage any of the corn. And then Zoe, when it comes to quality control, she's got it dialed in. So she runs the packing shed. So when we bring the corn into the packing shed and run it across the packing line, she can explain that. She has high school kids placed where they are the most efficient, and she expects quality.
You make them toe the line, right? Good. Yeah.
I guess if you want me to talk about that, I can.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, so my dad's actually the innovation behind most of this, but he has refurbished spud equipment that we run our entire packing line through. So dirt eliminators, conveyor belts, and so as the corn's going along the dirt eliminator, we have kids that sort through it. So they'll break off stalks, toss ears of corn that are too small, have different types of damages. Then it goes on to another conveyor belt where we have kids with boxes that are boxing the ears of corn, and they're quality checking as it's going through. And so that's kind of how that works.
Very cool. Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
A lot of really cool info. I just am looking at this on a consumer side. What are some, misconceptions that consumers think of when they think of, the sweet corn world?
Maybe I would probably say that it's super easy to just that you just drive a machine through the field and it shows up at the grocery store. There's a lot that one ear of corn goes through in 24 hours. It's going through an entire machine. It's getting dumped on conveyor belt after conveyor belt, and so many different people are inspecting it, and then they're putting ice on it, and there's just a lot of steps that it doesn't just get picked and thrown in a box somewhere. It gets hand selected and sorted and gets the ends broken off, and has quite a traumatic life, you could say.
Just a traumatic 24 hours.
Yeah, right.
The rest of its life is pretty good.
Yeah.
So when you plant the corn, right, because 60 to 90 days, is that about true as far as when it becomes ready to harvest?
All depends on our heat units that we have from planting going forward, but we actually plant. So we've had corn now that's been in the ground for right at a month.
Well, how many heat units does it need?
Yeah, and it's, well, you've got to have like 70-degree days according to the day length of the corn. So a lot of the corn, we've tried to raise some shorter day corn to get to market sooner. The shorter the day length the corn, you start suffering on quality. The flavor's not there, the size isn't there, and we have prided ourselves in delivering the best corn that you can get. And so, like I said, we've had 100 different varieties in trials with seed companies, and they come out and we will plant 12 rows at a time, all the way through the field. Clean the planter out, do another 12 varieties, or another 12 rows of another variety. And when we do that, when we're done packing our regular pack, then we will go through and we will harvest some of these test plots, run them through, and check the quality of the corn, see how it harvests, how it comes through. And then we do blind taste tests, and our kids have all done that, and neighbors and friends and family. And my wife will cook up all the corn. She will take it off of the cob, put it in bowls with the numbers on the bottom of them, keep track of it, shuffle them all up, and everybody samples every single variety to see what tastes the best. And so we have, in our opinion, the best tasting corn, but we've also found 2 varieties out of the 100 and some that we've tried that is a little bit different, that when you harvest it, you buy it at the grocery store, you put it in a fridge, you can pull it out a week to 2 weeks later and it's still good. It's not denting and going bad. And so with the production that we do, that is huge to be able to deliver that as well for the consumer, because we don't want people that are going to the grocery store, buying a couple dozen ears of corn, taking them home, they eat a dozen, they forget about the other dozen, and then they go back 5 days later to grab it and it's already dented and gone bad. We want to make sure that the consumer end of it is, end goal is to have them happy.
Yeah. So the corn that goes to Winco, there's just two main varieties that go.
We have one variety that we deliver to Winco specific. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but like I say, ours starts different from the very beginning. So we plant in March, which is Russian roulette with a semi-automatic. It is not safe. So we actually plant under plastic to get the heat units to make sure that we can keep that corn. There's a big expense to it. We're the only ones that do it because you can easily get an extra $500 an acre tied up into that production cost at the very beginning. And then you hope that if that corn comes up and it's at a fragile time and then it freezes, it'll still zap it. So we kind of take a risk, but people we supply for want the corn as early as they can get it. So we're trying to do everything to change it to make sure we produce what they want.
Could you touch more just on the heat units and why that's so important? What does that mean exactly?
So our corn's been in the ground. Our first plantings, like I say, we plant on timings, and that way once we start picking corn, we want to make sure that we've got corn for a month and a half, and we don't want to run out. And so our first stuff that we plant, we really watch it by the heat units. Your heat units, you've got to be 70 degrees or above for a day to count as one heat unit. And so if you take a corn that's a 70-day length corn for maturity, you've got to have 70 days above 70 degrees to get that corn to mature in time. So when you plant early, you're adding time to it just because we don't have the heat. Mm-hmm. And so that corn that we plant, say if it's a 70-day corn, it's going to take us 120 days to get it ready to harvest.
Okay.
So we've changed a lot of things up. One cool thing about the sweet corn that we raise is we deal with some local sweet corn companies as well. The corn seed is developed. It's gone through the breeding program here in the valley. It's gone through the seed production from farmers in the valley, and then we raise it in the valley. So 100% of our sweet corn that's sold here in the valley, it started here. Awesome. So from day one through the test plots, through full seed production, to us buying it, planting it, growing it out, that seed and the technology with it's never left the valley.
Wow.
Yeah. I have a question for somebody that's consumed probably more sweet corn than the rest of the world. What do you guys put on your sweet corn? How do you prepare it?
Well, it's actually kind of funny. We joke. Well, I mean, obviously we're biased, but our personal belief is that we have the best sweet corn. Our sweet corn's actually so sweet that you can just pick it in the field and eat it raw. Like, you can just eat it straight out of the field. So between me and my dad, we've probably consumed more corn that way than we have cooked. like by
We
far.
probably eat 2 to 3 years every morning during packing of just raw corn to make sure that the taste, the quality, that it's there.
Yeah.
So we probably eat more raw corn than anything.
Yeah. But I think we're definitely like casual
I
with
feel
the
like
butter
you're
and the salt and
outliers.
pepper.
Okay. Yeah.
Doesn't take away from like the sweetness of the corn.
Okay. Second question on that same line. I have an ear of corn. Do you guys eat in circles around the ear, or do you eat in rows?
You
I think
got to
we
eat
both
like a
eat
typewriter.
In rows, yeah.
Typewriter? Okay.
Yeah. One row at a time.
Do they actually eat in circles? I've never heard of that before.
From me, my experience, I do the two outside sides of the ear of corn, and then I typewriter across the middle.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's a method.
Then
to
there's,
that
a
madness.
spot. You don't bite your finger on accident.
Okay.
Eating sweet corn's an experience.
His parents love him. That's what
Yeah.
counts.
They take off my helmet so that I can eat the sweet corn. You bet.
Oh. So is there any secret to picking the best ear of corn? Like if you are, I don't know, if you're over in my neck of the woods and someone's selling some corn out of the back of a truck, is there something you're looking for to make that ear of corn maybe better than the others, or how do you know?
Well, I'll tell you what I tell my high school kids that work for me. So you're supposed to take your thumb and your middle finger at the base of the ear of corn, and you don't want them to touch. If your fingers touch, then it's likely that the ear of corn is like not ripe or underdeveloped. And so then if your fingers don't touch at the bottom, then at the very top, you're able to feel if the top of the corn is rounded, that means that it's fully developed and ripe. If it's pointy, that means that you're going to get an ear of corn that doesn't have the kernels all the way to the top.
Interesting.
Now you know.
I had no idea.
She's got that dialed in because short of pulling the husk back on every ear of corn to see if it's ready or not, she's got the kids in the packing shed trained so that they know just by touch
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's a good
of
ear
what
of
is a
corn
good
or
ear
not.
of corn.
It sounds like, you run a pretty tight ship in the packing shed, which is pretty awesome. So what else does that entail as far as basically the corn gets dropped off, you're putting it in, I think you said 48 ears in a case, and then you're putting it in cold storage, right?
Yeah, in a reefer truck.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. How many people do you have in the packing shed when you guys are going?
We usually have about 30 people around there, between people packaging the corn and unloading the corn, putting them into the back of the reefer truck.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so your guys' sweet corn is obviously, you guys are wanting it to be the best it can be. What is it about, let me rephrase this question. So you guys harvest it when it's cold. Why is that so important as far as quality and taste? Is the time of day, is it really important when you harvest it, correct?
For the
corn.
quality, yeah.
Yeah, quality. Why is that? Just because you mentioned the heat, does it change the taste?
It changes the longevity of how long that plant will last, that ear of corn will last. It's the same as any produce. If you go and buy some produce out of the grocery store and it's in a section that's cool and you take it home and set it on the counter and leave it out in the heat, it doesn't take long before it starts to sweat and it goes bad. You don't want that corn to create its own heat. It starts to mature still inside of the husk, and it just, corn doesn't last as long. So we try to, and like I say, and when we deliver corn, it's cold before it hits anybody's dock. No matter who we're producing the corn for, we want to make sure that it's cold.
Yeah, where we put it in the back of a reefer, it's easier to cool it down if it's already started the cooling process on its own, rather than if you're picking it when it's hot, then you're just trying to fight it almost.
Yeah. And it's that sugar to starch, right? Is that the behind?
Oh, I
Is
know
that
what
what
you're mentioning.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, So the sweetness, the sugar in the sweet corn, this is the same with sweet corn or peaches. A lot of times you'll hear people that are like, yeah, peaches taste so much better in Idaho than they do in Georgia, and Georgia's the peach state. But it's because Idaho, it gets cold at night, so those sugars are able to settle. So it's the same thing with sweet corn. I feel like it tastes better and sweeter up here because at night when it gets cold, the sugars, like, I can't think of the word. It just like makes it sweeter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the cool temperatures help the sugar
Yeah.
raise. It's the same like in sugar beets. If you don't have any cold weather, cold temps, sugar content, sugar beets aren't as good either. So when the cooler temps help set that sugar.
That's the word.
Okay.
By the time our corn's harvested, it's in the stores and consumers' hands in less than 24 hours.
Okay.
Do you have any other questions?
What did we miss? What do you guys? Is there a question we
I
want?
think one of the big things with corn, a lot of people want to say that, hey, organic's the best way to go. If you pull open an ear of corn and there's not a bug in it, it's not organic. It was sprayed with something at some point because there's no way you're going to keep earworm out of your corn unless you're spraying it. One thing that we have kind of taken another step on is we actually use chemicals that says right on the label that it won't kill anything. And you can actually spray it and consume the corn in the same day, which we don't spray anything and harvest it the same day. But what we end up having to do to make sure that we don't have any bug problems, because nobody wants to buy an ear of corn and open it up and have a worm in it. And so we end up spraying every 4 to 5 days. Right. Once
It's a repellent, so it repels the bugs rather
that's
than
what it does. It
killing
doesn't kill anything, it repels
okay.
it. And so we can buy cheaper chemicals that are still labeled that we can use for human consumption for sweet corn. They're cheaper, but we try to take it one step farther to make sure that, hey, when the consumer gets it, there is no chance of them getting sick from any pesticide whatsoever. The chemicals that we use are more expensive. It costs us about $20 an acre per application, and we're doing it, twice every 10 days. And so it costs more, but we want to make sure that the end result is safe product once it gets to the consumer's house.
Perfect. That's where I wanted to ask, like pests, things like that, but we just covered that. So I have one more, and then
Okay.
we'll wrap it up. So Nate, obviously this is a family business, and it's probably really cool to have Zoe involved and to raise your kids, being involved on the operation. Just what does it mean to you to be a farmer, right? To have your kids labor with you each day out there, and then ultimately one day, maybe when you pass the farm on to Zoe, I mean, that's got to be a culmination of a lot of hard work, right?
Life of a farmer and a farm family is a lot of work. I mean, there's not many days off. It's a 24/7 job. People ask what I do with my free time, and I ask them, I'm sorry, I didn't understand the question. Same way with our kids. My wife and I don't know if we joke, but we ask ourselves, if something was to happen to either of us or both of us tomorrow, would our kids be okay? I think as a parent, you want to make sure that your kids are good. All of our kids, even down to the 14-year-old, they all know how to work hard. If we're not around, they'll go out, get a job with somebody else, and I know for a fact that they'll just knock it out of the park. They know how to work, they know how to think, and they aren't lazy whatsoever. So as a farmer, whether the farm is a huge success or not, the family's the most important success that you have. It doesn't matter about the bank account. Sorry if you can't tell, I love my kids. So,
That's awesome.
But like I say, it's not, farmers aren't supposed to get emotional. But like I say, it doesn't matter what we do on the farm. Our kids are the most important thing. If they're successful in life, no matter what they choose to do, and they've got a good head on their shoulders, and say we feel pretty confident that our kids can go out and do whatever they want to do, whether it's working on the farm or in any other job. They'll be successful.
Amazing.
Really cool.
On the Dirt Road Discussion podcast, we like to look down the road. Zoe, I'm going to throw this to you. You're the future of the Pancheri farm. What are your hopes and goals to expand where you guys are?
That's a really good question. For For me, I feel like, honestly, one morning I just woke up and I kind of realized that there's a lot of big footsteps for me to fill, and there's a lot of pressure. My dad's a great farmer. My grandpa was a great farmer, and sometimes I just think, like, I just want to be the best. I want to be the best. And I actually heard this just the other day, that the goal isn't to fill somebody else's shoes, but to walk into your own until they fit. And so I think that my goal is to just kind of create my own legacy for me and my future family, and be able to have, like, such a strong backbone of my parents and my grandparents and all the people that came before me, and be able to just look forward. And life's hard, farming's hard, agriculture's hard, but to be able to have consistent goals. And I think the biggest thing for me is to just continue a legacy.
Awesome. Well, no doubt you will, because it's apparent your dad has raised you right, raised your siblings right, and you guys are hard workers, and the operation is going to be it's in good hands whenever that time comes. So once again, we've been joined by Nate and Zoe Pancheri. They are farmers and ranchers from Nampa, Idaho, and Nate is the owner of Pancheri Farm. So Nate, Zoe, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your work, for all that you do for agriculture, and for providing all of us with this delicious sweet corn so we can enjoy it all summer long. So
Thanks for having us.
We wish you the best as you harvest corn coming up here in a few months, and we look forward to eating it. So, well, with that, we'll wrap up another episode of Dirt Road Discussions, and we'll see you down the road.